DW Africa Link.
Tanzania is expected to hold elections later this year in October. The country's opposition faces significant challenges in its bid to defeat the ruling Chama Cha Mapinduzi CCM, led by current President Samia Suluhu Hassan. She's been accused of becoming increasingly intolerant of the opposition and civil society groups. Rights groups also accuse her of clamping down on political dissent, like her predecessor Magufuli. But she still enjoys significant popularity in Tanzania. So can the opposition defeat the ruling CCM party that has ruled Tanzania since it gained independence in 1961? And is the country ready for a new force? That's what's coming up. I am Eddy Micah Jnr, and you are welcome to Africa Link, the podcast connecting you to the stories that matter.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
The CCM party has won every election since the reintroduction of multi-party politics in 1992. This long-standing dominance has allowed CCM to deeply entrench itself in Tanzania's political, economic, and social structures. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who took office in 2021 after the death of John Magufuli, initially promised reforms and a more open political environment. However, critics say that recent developments suggest a continuation of authoritarian tendencies, and the opposition is trying to use that against her. Let's get more from Majjid Mjengwa, a political analyst based in Salaam. I also have our correspondent in Salaam, Naomi Achieng. Hello, lady and gentlemen. Majjid, what do you make of how President Samia Suluhu has run the country so far?
Thank you very much, Eddy, for having me. To start with, to compare Samia Suluhu Hassan, how he has ruled the country, it's 4 years now, and she took over from his predecessor, Dr. Magufuli. I think many Tanzanians and other people in the world knows the situation in the past. It was quite tough. Freedom of speech was kind of limited. But when she took over, she opened up the country, so the atmosphere was much better politically and even economically, because we were struggling with, we were coming from COVID-19 and the country was kind of closed, but she started right away opening the countries, and she is more of liberal, so the atmosphere is much better. Now it's 4 years. So the business community is enjoying working with her as the president, but also she made it possible to create the environment whereby the more investors are coming to Tanzania and the economy is prospering. So if you ask me that question, I would straight away say that things are much, much better now comparing to the past.
Right. Okay. Naomi, is that how generally people feel on the ground? You've been talking to a lot of people. What do they say about how she's been running the country so far?
Eddy, for now we have hearing a lot of buzz around Chadema election. So everyone seems attentive. It's such a pivotal moment since this election will decide a new party chairman. And the new chairman has a shot at being the main candidate in the upcoming general election. So people are real curious about who is going to face off against CCM, the ruling party.
I basically want to find out, based on the people you're talking to, how do they rate Samia Suluhu's leadership so far?
Eddy, in every leadership role, praise and criticism are inevitable, as you know. So some people seems like Samia, it is a good person. She's a woman. So they seems like it is a good to have Samia because of what they need across the country. And I can say President Samia is making strides in several areas here in Tanzania. She has improved Tanzania's international relations, promoted economic reforms, and fostered political reconciliation. So her leadership style, which emphasizes inclusivity and diplomacy, strengthened the country's global image. And I said that there are some critics too, but personal and other people, I would say her overall efforts deserve a positive rating.
Right. Okay. Majjid, let me come to you, because knowing all of this, somehow the opposition is confident. They seem determined to beat the ruling party. What makes them so confident?
Thank you very much, Eddy. And when you talk about the opposition in our country, now we talk more of two major opposition parties. We talk about Chadema, and then you have ACT, but also other parties. But these are two major opposition parties. It's not that easy for them even to feel confident if you see it in a realistic way. Because if you look at Chadema and the infighting that is ongoing now, it's difficult for them when you see the outcome. In 8 months to come October, they are going to face a general election, and as is today, they don't know who is going to candidate. And the two strong leaders, the chairperson and the vice chair of the party, who are really trading accusations openly. So this is going to demean them, to really make them weaker, and will disappoint a number of their supporters, because it's a paradox when you talk about Chadema, as it is a party for democracy and development. They are now struggling in making or building democratic institution within themselves, and they're really struggling on that. So I think they are standing not a better chance to win in 8 months. It's easier to come to election when you are having souls, but now they are going to be to face election, the next coming election, quite wounded, fighting at each other. So I think that it makes them be in a bad position as we look at it today.
So really, what are the chances that firebrand opposition leader Tundu Lissu could become the next president of Tanzania?
They're two different kind of personalities. When you talk about Freeman Mbowe, who is more diplomatic, very calm and conciliatory, while Tundu Lissu is an outspoken. And when you look at Tanzania's political characteristics, how the people outside see, because many of the voters are not a party-based kind of members. We have more than 10 or 14 million Tanzanians who are not belonging to any of the major parties in the country. So they are watching what is happening now within the ruling party, but also the opposition party. If you cannot govern, this is your own party, you cannot really decide who is going to lead the party, and you are fighting among each other. It casts a doubt for those over 14 million Tanzanians who really are going to decide, because if you look at the characteristic of Tanzanian voters, they vote for stability. They vote for something that they know that they should guarantee the security. So as it is today, Chadema really minimizing their chances. We have to see now, or in 5 days to come, how the situation will look like after the election. Whoever going to win has a really a huge task to unite its own people within the party.
Yeah. And Naomi, just to be clear, we know that elections are expected in this year, October. Not exactly sure the date, that is not clear yet. What is the mood like inside the country regarding how people are being receptive or not to the opposition? And what do they make of the opposition?
The mood now, Eddy, people around or across the world, Tanzania, they have been hearing a lot of buzz around the Chadema election. So it is such a pivotal movement since election. So will decide the new chairman, the party chairman, opposition in Chadema and the other opposition parties. So it looks like who is going to face off the candidate who will be in a ruling part, CCM. So the mood now is what is going on in the opposition party, especially Lissu and Mbowe are fighting for the chairman of the party. So that is the mood. So when maybe on a July or August, so the mood will become more on who is going to lead the country. Is President Samia Suluhu again or other from oppositional parties?
So you're saying that it's not clear if it's going to be Tundu Lissu representing the opposition or the other person. So can you tell us when can we know what is the schedule, the political schedule that will decide when we know who the opposition leader is?
For example, on January 21, they are going to vote if it is Lissu or Mbowe. So the one who is going to win on that day, so he will stand against the candidate who is be on a ruling part, CCM. So after that, we'll know exactly who is going to fight or to stand against other part, CCM.
Right.
Just to chip in, Eddy.
Right. Go ahead.
And that's also to concur what my sister Naomi said. I think that's the central issue, the matter that they are really in the contention. Tundu Lissu versus Freeman Mbowe, they're fighting for that position. The one who become party chairman will eventually become a presidential candidate come July. So this is a better for Joe, better to become a chair, but also better to represent the major opposition party, Chadema, as a presidential candidate coming next election. But then we have, if we talk about opposition, we have other parties. We are also expecting ACT to come with the name and other parties. But as it is today, Chadema is really second after CCM. Again, CCM is also closely watching the development within the Chadema camp because whoever emerges the victory, CCM will also determine how they're going to lay their tactics toward that new chair who eventually will become the presidential candidate. So that will be also Samia Suluhu Hassan, presidential contender that will fight against Samia.
Right. We will wait. There's still a lot to be cleared. Again, the election itself will be sometime in October. So still a lot to sort out. But we've talked about Samia Suluhu Hassan and how much she, according to you guys at least, how she's positively changed things in the country. There are still some critics who say that, she's become increasingly intolerant of the opposition and civil society groups. Majjid, is that something to be concerned about? Is that what the reality is on the ground? What's going on regarding that?
It's a good question. That is how you interpret the situation and who you ask. I'm on the field. I see it's become much easier these days to register your organization, to register businesses. So the atmosphere has really changed to become very positive for many. And when it's come to politics, if you compare to where we were, things are much better. And I think our philosophy is that you have to think of reconciliation, rebuilding of the nation. They are positive if even the opposition, others take chance on that, because we had a regime administration that didn't allow any kind of dissent voices. So I think we have really, it's not fair for those who really see that maybe she's increasingly becoming authoritarian. I don't see that, and I see that it could also be a way of some looking at her as a woman, maybe weaker, and try to say that she can't manage the country because she's a woman. But I think she's made to become a very strong leader. She doesn't talk much, but things are happening on the ground positively. That's my view.
Okay. Naomi, let's not forget that Samia Suluhu Hassan is president now because she was vice president after the death of the former leader, John Magufuli. But now it's a totally different ballgame. She actually has to stand for elections and win. What are the chances that she will get elected and become Tanzania's first democratically elected female president?
Eddy, when we say the chances of her securing re-election, it means it depends on who will be ruling against her if CCM chooses her as a candidate. So once we know who the opposing candidate is, boom, we can more accurately evaluate her prospects. So, however, I can say, given her achievement and her ability to contend with the grassroots voters by addressing their needs, President Samia has a strong chance of winning re-election and becoming Tanzania's first democratically elected female president.
Okay, so there's a level of optimism there. Majjid, obviously, it's a question that unfortunately is still asked because there are some experts that say, even in the US, which arguably has practiced democracy, not even arguably, the US has practiced democracy for centuries, 2 centuries at least. And still, some experts say that it did not seem that the country was prepared for a female president. Is Tanzania ready for a female president to democratically elect Samia Suluhu or any other woman for that matter? Is there a sense that there's a feeling that could be the case?
Thank you very much, Eddy. If Samia was to be picked in July this year as a presidential candidate from the ruling party, our chances might be small, could have been small, but she has been in administration now for 4 years. So people have seen her. So she has managed to demonstrate her abilities. So she has been using that time to show that she's a woman with a difference, a leader with a difference, and that would sell her quite well. So comparing to USA, that Kamala Harris didn't have, what Samia had, which Kamala Harris didn't have, she was chosen quite late. So people couldn't understand who is she and what she stands for, Kamala Harris. But Samia today, I think if you place maybe many men within CCM, won't have a chance because she has shown her ability, her leadership skills, and she'll be traditionally CCM will pick her. There won't be any quarrels on who is going to candidate for presidential election coming in October. Should be her, and I think she stands much more chances because the opposition today, they don't have a name. It will have the name maybe in some months to come because they have to manage their internal infighting troubles and they have to come up with a name again, and they have only 7 months. We don't know if they're going to continue with fighting. That will demand them quite much. So let us see. We have to wait and see next week who is going to emerge a victory within Chadema, if it's Freeman Mbowe or Tundu Lissu. But then we have ACT Wazalendo as well, who are very strong in Zanzibar.
And how would you describe Samia Suluhu's party, the CCM? Is there much support within for her to still possibly be the candidate? Who's giving her a run for her money in the party?
CCM is quite old parties have a party tradition that to remain united, to discuss matters within the party. That is contrary to what Chadema now is demonstrating, trading accusation on the public and not within the party. And that is the difference from the CCM. The CCM, when they have the candidate, the law rallies behind the candidate, and that's what we see. On Saturday, Sunday, they are going to demonstrate that, and they have that tradition. And I think it won't be so different this time around. Only that when Samia going to finish her term, come 2030, is when we are going to see a different kind of campaigning and in maybe little infighting within the party to find who's going to succeed her.
Right. Naomi, how much do ordinary Tanzanians care about their next leader?
Yes, Eddie, that is why they are monitoring who will stand against whom. You know, most of Tanzanians are seeking solutions to pressing issues like unemployment, the rising cost of living, and the access of the quality services like education, healthcare. So, Eddie, these are all concerns for ordinary Tanzanians. And also the level of interest varies. So this year, I see younger voters becoming increasingly vocal about the need for transformative leadership.
Right, which is a good thing when young people or people in general, get engaged in politics and help decide who their next leader will be. So you started touching on some of the pressing issues as quite overall successful as Samia Suluhu Hassan has been. Naomi, there are still key challenges in the country that need attention. Tell us more about that.
Eddie, the big challenge here is many youth completed universities, but no jobs at all. So many youth are on the street doing other things instead of what they taught in a school. So the big challenge is unemployment. That's the big challenge here in Tanzania. The president tried much, but the people who are supposed to help the president, sometimes they don't do a good job to help that president. So in healthcare, you can see some pregnant women sometimes have challenges when they go to hospital. So these healthcare, unemployment is a big challenge for sure.
Right. Majjid, that's something you would add your voice to. That's one of the biggest challenges in the country now, isn't it?
Absolutely. Unemployment, we have a rising cost of living, and the majority of Tanzanians are youth, and we see globally youth are raising against the establishment. So we see the tendency, the trend as well here. But again, CCM is present in many parts of Tanzania. Their electoral base is in the rural areas. 80% of Tanzania are in the rural areas. So when we travel, myself, I see CCM is present wherever you go. So that is an advantage for them. And Tanzanians' election is about choosing. And Tanzanians, in fact, they are choosing their better devil. The devil they know, and it's a saying in Swahili, zimu likujualo alikuli likakwisha. The devil, better the devil you know. I think you have the English adage as well. So that is what is happening. And now it's not that, or it's not well for the opposition party, because if they cannot demonstrate a stable kind of a party democratically inside and emerge stronger, it will be difficult because the Tanzania knows, might be all our devils, but they know CCM, they know their weaknesses and the limits, but they're not really Tanzanians characteristically when they come politics. They're quite skeptical when they don't know who you are. And now what is happening within Chadema is not a good sign for the voters.
Okay. Only time will tell how things go. Thank you very much, Majjid Mjengwa, political analyst based in Dar es Salaam. Also, I have had Naomi Achieng, DW correspondent in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Get the stories that are shaping the continent here on Africa Link.
The 2025 election in Tanzania is months away, but the electoral process is already intensifying. This will be a crucial test of Tanzania's democratic progress and the opposition's ability to challenge CCM's long-standing dominance. So what do you think? Join the discussion on our Facebook page, DW Africa. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. Don't forget to click follow so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabe, and I am Eddy Micah Jnr. Thanks for listening.